this is Mark Kaplan reporting for Infowars.com. I'm here in Hood River, Oregon, which is a small rural town with a population of about 7,000. Now, for some reason, our town, even though we're small, we seem to get a constant parade of New World Order shills coming through town. For example, I've done previous reports for Infowars in which I've confronted Bill Clinton about Building 7 and U.S. Senator Ron Wyden about chemtrails and the writings of Cass Sunstein. Well, this week's shill of the week to come through Hood River is a guy named David Wolman. He came to promote his book called The End of Money. This book's been receiving quite a bit of praise from the mainstream media because it pushes one of the establishment's key agendas, which is a cashless society. Clearly, the control freaks who are in control of our government would like nothing more than to track, trace, and regulate every single financial transaction. Now, Mr. Wolman, he's in complete agreement with this agenda and points out that it could be achieved if only we could eliminate cash-based anonymous transactions. Now, as far as privacy issues are concerned, the author simply ridicules anyone worried about Big Brother and just says anonymity is garbage. Here's what he said.
Anonymity is garbage, and I think that's actually, code for I want a free ride. I would argue that you don't have a right to anonymity. If you have a driver's license and you're going to collect Social Security and maybe you pay your taxes, already you are a known quantity. You don't have anonymity.
The author told us all about the evils of cash, such as how it spreads disease by being covered in germs, and how he spoke to a bigwig at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who explained to him that cash is the enemy of the poor, and how the Gates Foundation is spending hundreds of millions of dollars throughout the third world setting up systems so that they can try to eliminate cash. Unsurprisingly, Mr. Wolman is also a big advocate of a one world global currency. He even wrote an article for Wired magazine in which he argues that a one world currency could end the financial crisis. Amazingly, he even works into that article the argument that global currency is like geoengineering, in that they're both bold ideas that could save the world. Here he tells us exactly what he thinks about gold and national currencies.
Let's not do this religion of gold craziness, let alone national currency hypnosis.
In this part of his speech, he describes the different types of crazy people who oppose his idea of a cashless society.
Fundamentalist Christians who are saying that this will bring about Armageddon, frankly. We will all have a barcode on the back of our neck, and you are working closely with Satan to make it possible for the Antichrist to control the economy, and that's it for us. The Antichrist will be here 36 hours later. So they're mad at me. The next group of people are kind of the militiamen, super libertarians who are saying you will have to pry it from my cold dead hands, much like my guns, and this is government wanting to take away my liberty. Another group of people who are not so happy with me are sort of the ACLU types on hyperdrive, who say that we all have a right to an anonymous means of transaction, as if this was written into the Bill of Rights. And of course, cash provides that. This is an anonymous means of transaction that cannot be traced. That is important to a lot of people. Related to that group is then the sort of Big Brother scares me a lot people. And some of that is because of government oversight. Some of that is, who are you to suggest that the cashless future is this good idea? All that will do is increase government and corporate scrutiny of my life and my financial activities. You're a shill for the credit card companies, go home. So they don't like me very much.
Now, I could go on forever debating his arguments, but I realize that the way he frames the discussion is actually a trap. As much as I disagree with Mr. Wolman, I don't want to get pushed into the position of defending paper Federal Reserve notes. I believe that paper fiat currency is as much a tool of tyranny as digital fiat currency. The real debate is not between physical and digital, but rather between a peaceful system and a violent system. It's not true that the US dollar is backed by nothing. It's backed by violence. Every April 15th, each one of us is threatened by the IRS to hand over a certain amount of Federal Reserve notes or else we get thrown in prison. That's what creates the demand for the Federal Reserve notes. It's also not a coincidence that the IRS and the Federal Reserve were both created in the same year, 1913. On the same token, we see what happens when leaders start accepting something other than Federal Reserve notes in exchange for their oil. They end up hanging from a rope. That's what I call violently creating demand for a currency. I believe this is where the real debate over money belongs. We can't let redirect agents like Mr. Wolman hijack the debate and get us to unwittingly defend the tool of our enslavement. Thank you for watching. This is Mark Kaplan signing out for Infowars.com.
Because this sounds like a little bit of Big Brother snooping, but it isn't.